Hi everybody, I'm Etran and today I'm reading a very special picture book in honor of Women's History Month. This is Go Forth and Tell, The Life of Augusta Baker, Librarian and Master Storyteller, written by Breanna J. McDaniel, illustrated by April Harrison. Let's dive in. Augusta Braxton Baker grew up to be a master storyteller, but before that, she was an amazing story listener. Growing up in Baltimore, it didn't matter whether she was sitting at the kitchen table, walking to the store, or relaxing under a tree. When her storytelling grandmother started her tales, Augusta stopped, stuck out her eager ears, and listened. Her grandmother's lifting, tilting, lilting voice shaped incredible worlds and passed them down to Augusta. Through that voice she traveled to where Brer Rabbit laughed in briar patches and where Arthur gallivanted with Excalibur. In these worlds, people who started out discarded and mistreated became heroes who slayed dragons or used their smarts to get themselves out of trouble. These stories taught Augusta that where there's a will, there's a way, and she never ever forgot that. Augusta was enchanted by words and the way they could change how she thought and learned. Could she become a storyteller too? Could her stories help other people become better listeners? It was time to find out. Augusta pocketed her grandmother's stories and took her own lilting, tilting voice to a teacher's college in Albany, New York. Words like odyssey, jungle, imagine, telling, tales, golden, story, believe, whistle, higgledy, these fascinated her. In school, one of her teachers taught a lesson on folk stories. Augusta's grandmother's tales jumped joyfully to the front of her mind, and Augusta knew they were a part of a bigger story, a story of movement and courage. The tales begged to be plucked from her memories and retold. Augusta knew that her calling was to be in front of a crowd, raising her voice, and guiding children of all ages through the wide and wonderful spaces of her stories. She sounds like an amazing person. That calling took her to the 135th Street branch of the New York Public Library in Harlem, where Augusta became a children's librarian, happily sharing stories with others in her community. Many of the children Augusta served in Harlem were African American, but there were hardly any books with Black people in them. The ones that the library did have were rude, mean, and just plain wrong. Augusta realized there was a lot of work to do, but where there's a will, there's a way. What's she going to do? She knew that the eager listening ears of young, solemn James Baldwin and poetry-loving Audre Lorde deserved to hear stories where they laughed and gallivanted. She knew that they could one day tell their own stories if she only showed them how. Librarians are the best, I've got to say. She decided to use her voice, not just to share the stories she already knew, but to search out new ones, and even create some of her own. Augusta remembered how the heroes in her grandmother's stories sometimes started out at the bottom, and would rise up. She wanted Black children to have heroes that rose up and looked, talked, and shined bright, just like them. She created the James Weldon Johnson Memorial Collection at the 135th Street branch to showcase honest, caring depictions of Black folks, and she shared and published her lists so countless that others could learn from them. She went out of her way to support educators, librarians, and writers, and they supported her too. Educators like Carter G. Woodson, the father of Black history and founder of Black History Month, and librarians like Augusta's colleague in Chicago, Charlemagne Rollins, the first Black president of the American Library Association's Children Division. Authors and artists like John Steptoe, Virginia Hamilton, Tom Feelings, and Walter Dean Myers created stories for and about Black people, sharing their lives and experiences around the globe. Eventually, Augusta became the coordinator of children's services in all of the New York Public Library branches. She was the very first Black person to ever hold that position. She was breaking barriers. Known as the mistress of storytelling, Augusta traveled all over the country, gifting people her time and her stories. Stories are powerful. It didn't matter where she was, teaching classes at Columbia University, hosting a radio show, or on the set of Sesame Street. As one journalist said, wherever Augusta went, she painted worlds with her words. Full, bright worlds for the children who make our own world whole. In 1980, Augusta accepted a job created just for her as the Master Storyteller in Residence at the University of South Carolina. To this day, the city of Columbia honors her with an annual festival called Augusta Baker's Dozen. What a dream come true. And she followed her dream. That's just amazing. There, under trees and tents with food and friends, griots and authors tell tales, shining a bright light and painting a more brilliant, bold world with their words. Go and have a listen. And that is the end. This is a beautiful book. And Augusta, she was incredible. And I wish I could have had the chance to meet her. But her legacy lives on in this amazing tale.